We're gonna try to get through this as quickly as possible. I know some of you guys probably have your tri-tip waiting to be cooked, thawed out, so we're not gonna take too much time on this. We don't need a tri-tip is or anything like that. So I've got mine sitting here right now. It's been sitting out for about 30 minutes or so. You want to season it real heavy with whatever you want. For what we're using, I'm using this stuff here, the Blanco Meat Church Barbecue. This stuff's amazing. And we're also we got this mixed in as well. It's called Special Shit. This stuff is incredible. Everything's all natural. There's not a bunch of, we don't use anything that has, you know, soy or any garbage chemicals or anything like that. So everything that we use is pretty natural. Same thing with these guys, the Liquid Death. If you haven't tried it, try it. Those things are amazing. So here's frozen tri-tip. Buy this stuff when it's on sale. If you get lucky, it's got the fat cap on it on the one side. This one unfortunately does not have the fat cap, but if it does have the fat cap, leave it. Don't take it off. Leave it on there, because we're gonna be using a smoker, so it's gonna sit on that with the fat side down. Right now it's upside down, so it's gonna sit just like this on that smoker. And then when we're all done, we're gonna do a reverse sear, so it's gonna be seared at the very end. If you guys don't have a food saver, I highly recommend buying one of these. If you properly seal your meat, they can last much longer in the freezer. I mean, you can get years out of them. We cut the package, thawed it out, cut the package, threw it on the plate, and seasoned it heavily on both sides, letting that go ahead and soak in. And we've got the smoker is getting up to temp. I'm using the Pit Boss Austin XL. It's the large one. This thing works amazing. We've done everything from brisket to hamburgers, everything. So I set it to the smoke setting. I let all the white smoke come out, and then once it clears up, then we're gonna go ahead and switch this over to 200. We're gonna do it kind of low and slow. We're not gonna go as long as a brisket or anything like that. Once that gets up to temp, we're gonna go ahead and throw the meat on. The brisket, they take those to like 201, and there are people that run them all the way until 201, but I like to have it a little pink in the middle. I'm not a big fan of like the well done steaks and stuff, so I've had no complaints about the way I cook my tri-tip. Everyone loves it. And this new way that we just figured this out, I cook it like I do a ribeye. So we cook it low and slow until it hits roughly about 95 to 100 degrees, somewhere around there. And then you're going to pull it, you're going to wrap it in foil, let it sit as you bring the smoker up to temp. So you're going to turn the smoker up to 450, and then you're going to open up the searing. It's got like a searing screen cover, whatever. You just slide that over, and it allows the flame to come up, and you're going to heat it up to right about 370, and then you can open up that grill again and throw your tri-tip on and start searing it until you get it up to temp. As far as internal temp goes, I know a lot of people will say, oh, you need to cook it until, you know, 125, 135. We don't do ours like that. I like mine a little undercooked. Some people like them, like their steak blued. I don't like it like that, but a little pink on the inside. Basically, we're going to take it up to about 100 degrees. We're going to pull it, we're going to wrap it, bring it up to searing temperature, throw it on, and then we're going to sear it until it gets to right about 110, between 110 and 115, without burning it too bad. So you want to have a little bit of char on all around it, but just a little bit. You don't want too much. If you burn it too much, then you're going to have, you know, that burnt taste. But that extra little bit of char, it gives it this amazing flavor. And then also, you want to make sure to render down that fat cap. So when you're all done and you pull the tri-tip off, that you can literally slice up the tri-tip and leave the fat cap on there and take a bite with fat and steak on it, and it gives it this like rich buttery flavor. It's delicious. You know, plus, you know, it gives you that healthy cholesterol too, that healthy fat. It's stuff our body craves, our brain loves it. So I'll get back to you when we throw this thing on, and I'll let you know in the next step. All right, we're back. So we got the smokers all heated up. If you have it set to 200, they're gonna jump up. So it shows the actual, and then it's going to come down. So it's going to be kind of all over the place until it finds its happy medium in there. But you can see we're right at 200 on the top thermometer. So we got our meat out here. Got me another one of these liquid deaths. These things are delicious. By the way, all this stuff that I'm showing you guys, it's all off of my opinion. These guys aren't paying me nothing or anything like that. I just love these things. They're delicious and they look cool. All right, we got our instant check meat thermometer. I'm not a big fan of using these guys. I mean, you can if you want to, but I've had a lot of inconsistent temperature readings. I've replaced them, I've cleaned them, I've done everything. Lots of inconsistency with those. I like the instant check. Whenever you're checking, so you open this guy up, it's going to turn on, and you're going to aim for the center of the steak. So when you go in here, you're going to push it in, and you can kind of check it on the side like this to see where it's going to be at. You don't have to push in very far, and then you'll watch the numbers, and you can kind of pull it out and push it in and see wherever your coldest spot is. That's going to be what your internal temperature is on your meat. If you guys don't have one of these meat hooks, these things are awesome. It's my favorite thing. They work for chicken, steak, tri-tip, everything. So we're going to go ahead and throw this guy on, fat side down. On the Austin XL, I don't know if it's going to be the same with your smoker, but with the Austin XL, it seems like this is like our hot spot right here. So this is where I do most of my cooking at, unless I'm cooking something like a brisket, you know, and then we're gonna string it out over the whole thing. And then you can see this has a center grate right here. You can order these things off of Amazon. These are amazing. You just reach right in like this, and it hooks on. You have full control over it. Set it off to the side, and then we're gonna open this later. That's gonna be our the sear area right there, and you can see the burn mark on the grill. That's where we do all the searing at. So let's close this thing up before it loses all its heat. So it's probably gonna start smoking a little bit because it's gonna try to get back up the temperature. But yeah, as soon as it's time to check it, I'm gonna set a timer. That's kind of a smaller brisket, so I'm probably gonna set a timer for about 50 minutes. So I've got the Pit Boss set to 200 degrees. We're going to go for 50 minutes, and then we're going to check it. And remember, our time that we're going to pull it is between 95 and 100. You don't want to go too far over 100 because then you don't get as much sear time. And I mean, sometimes on the bigger briskets, if you pull them at like 95 to 100 and then you're going to sear them, you might sear them too quickly. So what I suggest is you're going to sear them in the middle, and then when you start to see it's like catching on fire and everything, it's getting all crazy and it's kind of cooking too much, getting too much char, you're going to pick it up and set it off to the side, and then close your hood and let that, it's going to be super hot in there, and then that's going to bring that internal temperature up a little bit, and you just leave it in there for a couple minutes. Then you're going to open it up, flip it over, you know, close it, let it come up a little bit, check your temperature, then throw it back on to keep searing it and keep rendering down that fat. You don't want to do it all at once, because if you do it all at once, you're going to overcook the outside of it without bringing the internal temp up. And so it's kind of finding that happy medium on it, you know, to be able to bring that internal temp up without completely burning the outside, but also getting the right amount of char and making sure that fat cap is rendered down, because that is like, that is the best part, is that fat cap. So, all right, guys, we'll check it in 50 minutes. All right, so it's been about 50 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and check this thing out here. Looking pretty good. Let's get our thermometer out. All right, so we're gonna push that in there. It's way tough. So we're at 97. Yeah, I'd say we're about there. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that off and get it wrapped up in the foil. All right, we got the handy dandy meat hook here. We'll go ahead and pull this guy out. Oh yeah, looking nice and tender. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. This doesn't have to be perfect because it's not gonna be sitting in here too long. This is more so just so it doesn't lose any temperature. All right, now we're gonna crank this guy up to 450. We're gonna get our grill hook here. Move that over. And open this up. We got a nice flame in there. Get that sucker going. close that up and wait. So once that gets up to 370, we'll go ahead and start searing that guy. All right, perfect. So we're getting up there in temp. We're gonna go ahead and open this guy up. We got that nice hot heat going. Let's unwrap our tri-tip here. All right, this is where that hook comes in handy, so you don't have to get burnt with searing. So we're gonna lay that right on there like that. Right now it is fat side down, but this one doesn't have much fat. Didn't have a fat cap. It just has a couple of pieces left over from when the butcher trimmed it. So we're gonna throw that down. Then we're gonna flip it. You can see how quick it starts to get that char. That's nowhere near enough char. So don't be scared of it. You just want to make sure that you don't burn everything. Now with this one not having that fat cap on it, it's going to be a little bit harder to get the sear. You're going to notice it's going to start puffing up. That's normal. Oh, it smells so good. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision here. It's incredible. So you're going to notice it's going to start catching on fire because as that fat renders down, it's going to be dripping down on that fire, on that flame, and it's going to cause it to come up and cook your meat, especially if you have a good thick fat cap. So you can see all this is sizzling right here. That's the bit of fat that's left on this guy. We're going to continue doing this. It's going to take a little while because it's a thick piece of meat, so it's not going to be like a steak. If you were doing a steak, you would flip this about every 10 seconds or so, and it's going to come up to temperature pretty quick. But because this is such a thick piece of meat, it's going to take a while for it to come up to internal temperature. So you got to let it sit, continue flipping this guy. See, we're getting more of the char going on. That's going to happen as that fat renders down. You're going to get more and more. The most important parts are the parts without the fat. You want to make sure that we're not toasting those. They're not getting super burnt. Char is a good flavor. Burnt is not. Starting to get some good color to that meat. Alright, now that's going to go a little crazy now because that fat's really rendering down. It's starting to get nice and juicy and it's dripping on that flame. So it's going to cause that flame to kick up. When that happens, you want to go ahead. I mean, sometimes you can let it cook for a little while. If you got a big fat cap on there, you want that stuff to cook off. You want it to render down a little bit. I'm going to flip mine a little bit more frequently than you probably will if you have that fat cap on there. The one we did yesterday was amazing. It had the biggest, thickest fat cap on the bottom, and it was so good when it was all done. So now I'm going to set it off to the side. I'm going to get my thermometer, and we're just going to go ahead and do a quick check on the fat, the thickest part of it, and see where we're at there. All right, we're at 107. Keep pushing, see if it goes lower. No, it went higher. So 107 is about where we're at on this so far. So we're getting there. This one's coming up the temp really quick, but that's kind of a good thing because it looks like it's going to have a real nice bit of char on there. Look at that fat in there. Looks so good. You just don't want to overcook it unless you like your meat done. You don't want to overcook it so that it's all chewy. Alright, we're going to check that internal temp again. Really important not to let it get too high. Alright, 109, 108, still going down. Oh, too far. Okay, so we're still about 108, that's good news. We want this thing to sear up a little bit more before we have to pull it. Man, that sear port on this Pit Boss is like, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I love it. If you do this exact same thing that we're doing here, but with a ribeye, you're gonna go nuts. It'll be the best ribeye you've ever had. It's absolutely incredible. I'm drooling just thinking about the ribeye on here. It's amazing, especially if you can get a good thick ribeye, like not a very thin one, but a good thick one. It's got a good amount of fat on it. It's going to be amazing. This is going to be your new favorite way to cook steak. We've done it with the T-bones too. The T-bones don't have as much fat on them. They tend to be a little bit, they're a little more well done when they're all finished up. But the ribeyes seem to cook just about perfectly. All right, so you can see there, 109. We're just about there. See if I can get just a little more char on this guy. But you can do the poke test and see how tender it is. I always say you want it to have a bulletproof vest. You want it to be a fat guy wearing a bulletproof vest, so you can feel the bulletproof vest on the outside of it, but you can still feel that it's nice and tender and soft on the inside. So my wife always laughs at that one, the fat guy with the bulletproof vest on. All right, that's looking good. Let's do that bottom area just a little bit more. All right, I'm pulling it. I'm gonna throw her back on foil. Go ahead and switch this off. Let that burn down a little bit. And we're gonna get this guy wrapped up. Now this, I'm gonna set it down because I want this to be nice and tight. All right, so the reason that we pull that a little bit early is because as it rests, it's gonna start to soak up all that juice, and it's gonna all that char that's on there is gonna start to soften up and everything. So when you eat it, it's not like eating a burnt piece of meat. It's gonna be nice and soft. But then that's also gonna be coming up in temperature, so we don't want it to overcook while it's resting, but you still have to let it rest about 10 minutes. So looking at the time now, all right, so I know when we have to stop letting it rest, so as soon as it's done, we'll get this thing cut up and see what it looks like. All right, so we're all done now. Let this thing sit and rest. I'm gonna open it up. See how it came out. I can hardly wait. Oh, look at all that juice. Oh yeah, that looks real good. All right, we'll use the hook. Oh man, that looks so good. It's probably not gonna be as good as yesterday's, because once you do it amazing, you can never replicate. All that extra juice, we'll save that for after we slice it. All right, and then my dummy-o, I didn't think about, you're supposed to look at your grain lines for the meat. You can kind of see them. They're going this way here. And they change on a tri-tip. They don't always go the same way. So this one, you can see the grains are going this way. So I think we'll be all right if we just cut it like this. This one's a little different. Got these Valhalla series knives off Amazon. These things are pretty awesome. They hold a sharp edge. Let's see if it's still cutting. Oh, look at all that juice. See, this is what you want, that nice, juicy pink middle. If it's a fatter one, they'll go longer and you'll end up with a better smoke ring around the edge. This one just, it's a little smaller, so it cooked pretty quick. Well, let's see how flexible it is. Oh yeah, that's pretty decent right there. If you guys have ever done that with brisket, you can usually get them to clap. So anyhow, we're gonna go ahead and get that cut up and throw it on the plates and get it eaten. But yeah, that came out amazing. So hopefully you guys have as much success as we did. Good luck out there.